All right, so last weekend was Premium's online tournament thing for Bushiroad. Uh, so I played the Kagero, as you could probably tell by the starter. It was a really fun tournament. Feels bad flipping over triggers, and yeah, my matchups were luckily nothing like super crazy outside of this deck's you know current power level, except for first round probably. First round was against Bermuda Triangle, the Riviere deck, and a multi attack deck does pretty good against a deck like this. I can't really do too much to stop that. I don't keep a lot of cards in hand. My second match was against Tachikaze, and that was a very narrow game. The overtrigger definitely helped out, which I'm not proud to say, but it is what it is. Game three was against Aquaforce, and I was expecting to lose pretty hard to it, but the guy had to G assist, and it just kind of it went downhill from there. It wasn't super great for him. And my last round was against Jewel Knights, and Crystal Luster is a good card. It just kind of knocks my deck out of the water. I can't really do much to that. And yeah, overall it was a lot of fun. I dropped a little early because they didn't really know when they were having like the actual matches and stuff. I think it got pushed back like an hour and a half, and like I just wasn't anticipating it. And so by the end of the round, round four, I was just like, I could sit around and try to wait, but I think I'd rather just go get food. So I'll probably be staying in a bit longer for this coming V Premium one, and obviously for Standard. But I just wish I'd known they were gonna mess that up pretty bad. So I'm gonna get onto the profile real quick. We'll start off. You can go over there. Start off with your starter. Ooh, no. Starter is Lizard Soldier Conroe. These starters are just insanely good. I don't see why you wouldn't play it. It draws you a card. It gets you an extra card if you go second. It's pretty good. And then the heart and soul of the deck is these three copies of Dragonic Overlord the Cross. So the big thing about this is our, if we have to go right up to grade 3 first, this is how we're kind of pushing for damage. It's a pretty good offensive thing, and then its last skill is on either player's turn to make your hand size count as 0. That just counts as free perfect guards, which is always just really nice. Our finisher is the regular version, or the old version of Dragonic Overlord the Cross, because the Legion was I guess they didn't really think about future proof it per se for things that restood without like a cost or stuff like that. So yeah, the goal is just to kind of ride this. If you stride, and do some damage, and then you just kind of, this is your kill turn. I don't do a 2-2 split like most people do, because I would be really unlucky and always open this and then never see this, and you really do want to see this. I find the one of enough. If you play grade 3 searchers, which there's a lot of good Kagero grade 3 searchers, so it's like you should find this, and if you don't, you don't. There's not a whole lot to say to that. And then the thing that pairs with all of these is Dragonic Overlord, the end. So there's not a whole lot to say about this. The basic combo, which I could probably show you super quick. So he's gonna copy any Overlord that you put into your soul. So you're always copying this one, because copying himself would be kind of dumb. And then this one pairs up with him. And basically, you're always getting 3 Vanguard attacks because of both of their effects, which is really good. So the end's first skill is you have to, I believe it's the Counterblast Soul Blast. So after it swings, you Counterblast Soul Blast. If you have 4 or less cards in hand, you get to restand this at lose a drive check. And then if its other one is if at the end of a battle that attacked, if you discard 3 cards from your hand, have an Overlord and Soul, you restand, loses a drive check, and it gets 10k. So with the Legion pairing, you'll just get the buffs like the 10k. You don't really lose any drive checks, which is kind of silly, but it's really good. And the other one, you go if you go first. This using the end skill does kind of neg you a good bit, but you push for a good bit of offensive damage, and then I think it's August 15th. I want to say we get Overlord the Rebirth. That'll be another option to throw in this deck to make sure that maybe you're not blowing your whole load on your first grade 3 turn and then just suffering the rest of the game. So this is the grade 3 lineup. It's pretty standard, I would say. I mean, again, a lot of people like the 2-2 split. I like the 3-1 split because it's just easier for me to find. And then we're gonna go on to our grade 2s. It is 4 copies of Igni Road Dragon. Igni Road is really good. It's the main thing that lets us search for our copies of the end, which is just on place. You check your top 7. If there's the cross. You check your top 7. Add a copy of the cross to hand. Super good. He gets little buffs too if you have 4 or less cards in hand and your Vanguard swings, which is always nice. But the big thing is you want to be searching out, trying to get to the 1-of. I mean, yeah, you want the regular one if you didn't find it for your first grade 3 turn, but otherwise that's the big thing about this. And I'm going to skip to 1 grade 2 really quick. I'm playing 1 copy of Burning Horn, the new one from Overdress. He functions kind of the same way. The reason I don't play more of this is because I was kind of testing it out. I wanted to see how I feel about it, if I really wanted it in the deck or not. I feel like because this is locked behind a Counterblast and this one isn't, to search for an Overlord, I would rather go ham on this, play a couple copies of this. I'd probably play 1 more with my current list, but I think that's about the basic of it. The other one that fills up the grade 2 slot is Wyvern Strike Decat. Decat gives your The End Vanguard Guard Restrict, which is pretty good. Force cards out of their hand. Try to make them waste all their resources. I'd probably swap one of these for a Burning Horn. I think Burning Horn is definitely better. I just wanted to try this out before I immediately said, hey, let's pick up 4 of these, throw it in the deck. The cat still definitely comes up, and if you're watching this and you're like, I'd rather play 4 of this, and I don't know, would I cut this? You could probably cut this next card. This next card's free, and it's just really good in my opinion. It's Break Breath Dragon. It's basically if you took Berserk Dragon and you just made it 10 times better. So you can when it's ridden over, you kill one of your opponent's rear guards. If your opponent doesn't have any rear guards, you get to draw a card. Super cool. And then on rear guard at the end of a battle that swings, if I kill one of your rear guards, I can kill him and draw a card. Super good. But yeah, that's probably the only change I would have made, is adding an extra Burning Horn. But I don't think it came up enough of the times for me to really cry about it. Sorry, we bugged out there for a quick second. So, onto the grade 1s. I'm playing 4 copies of Lava Flow Dragon. Again, more grade 3 searching. We play 3 copies of Dragon Knight Nishat. Nishat is when he's ridden over, you check top 5 for a grade 3. You want to find both versions of your copies of the Cross. The End, I mean, it's fun to pick them up with Lava Flow, put them in the graveyard, and then have, defeat Flare, wipe your opponent's back row. But it's not necessarily what you're always looking for. You're mostly looking for the Cross with this. And then, so that's the big hitters of our grade 1 section. The grade 3 searchers was just kind of bad to say, but it really is the most important part of this deck. Next to Twin Buckler Dragon. Twin Buckler is a free perfect guard. So if you don't know, you have to discard a card from your hand unless you have two or I think it's two or less, or it's one or less. I'm pretty sure it's one. Sorry, if you have two or more cards in your hand, you have to discard a card. Otherwise, you can not discard for it if you have like one or less. He makes your hand size 0 at all times. It just so you just throw this out there, you get a free perfect guard. It's probably the best thing Kagero has going for it right now, because you do need to save cards in hand, and I guess playing a free perfect guard is always really good. Last grade 1 is Airmo. Airmo is it's all right. The reason behind not maxing out on the Shat is simply because I feel like you don't really use his rear guard effect. You just want to see it as a Vanguard. I think 3 is fine. I just didn't want to have to ride Airmo, because Airmo feels like a horrible ride. And I'll spoil it for you. I had to ride Airmo at least one game, and it kind of sucked. But I guess it's better than riding the perfect guard. So we take those small wins. We're gonna go to my trigger lineup. My trigger lineup is very, very simple. One over trigger. The thing that we don't ban. The over trigger is really fun in this deck. I haven't had it happen yet, but you can have 4 Vanguard attacks on the cross turn, and that's just such a cool concept to me. I mean, I guess not cool, but like I'd like to see it happen because I think it's really funny. And then it's just a very vanilla deck from here. 4 crits that let you stride with them. 4 put in the soul, you get 10k on your Vanguard and draw a card, and then 3 vanilla ones. You could run the one that's like you tuck it in the soul and give something 2k if you really want to. I've never had like a huge issue with soul, so I don't see the reason to. So I just kind of picked the art that I like the best. And lastly, 4 Heal Guardians. They'd have to print something better than this to make me consider not running it. But this kind of solves. It makes it so you can actually survive an opponent's grade 3 turn, like before they stride, because some people have really good grade 3 turns, kind of like this deck. That's it for my triggers. The G zone is kind of a mess. You don't really I'm gonna tell you right now, this is the card you're gonna go into all the time. The rest of this, I think I went into this once this weekend, and it worked out really well. But otherwise, you don't really go into every other card in the G zone. They're just kind of there. So I'm going to start with oh gosh, what is this? Xerath Dragon? The Xerath Dragon Drachma and the Progenitor Dragon. Progenitor Dragon, in the off chance that you brick really bad, this is you nuke your opponent's board, you get free strides for the rest of the game. Not that that comes up often, but it is nice to have. This never comes up. I don't have anything else. I mean, I could put in a third of our main stride, but like honestly, I just flip this up anyways. I think it's just funnier. Makes people a little surprised when you just flip up a copy of Drachma. One copy of the Purge. The Purge, again, it doesn't come up, but sometimes if you're counterblast denied, your opponent's at 5, hey, you get 5 drive checks, kind of funny. Doesn't come up. He looks pretty. He's an Overlord. We keep him in there. The main thing you stride into is Dumjit Valor. Dumjit Valor says if you P-guard or G-guard against any of my attacks during the turn, I can restand him and he loses 2 drive checks, and then he has another ability. I can counterblast and flip a G unit to kill one of your rear guards, and then for each Sentinel in my graveyard, he gets plus 15. He's just a really good thing because he forces your opponent to play this very awkward, like, do I want to get rid of a lot of my highly defensive cards so he can, and then, he might restand, but I stay at low damage. Do I just take it all and try to save it for the cross? Like, it forces them into this weird little mindset. It's always fun to watch, at least for me. But you always go into him. There's no other stride that, like, really takes his spot as just like your sort of handbreaker. One copies of each of the recent Fighters Collection strides. This one is a free board wipe and it gives I think your grade 3's 10k, which is alright. It's not great, but it is there. And then one copy of this. He can get extra drive checks. He gets power. He gives your rear guards power. This only came up once during the whole tournament, and it was kind of funny. Gave me a hand to like prep for my opponent's next turn. Overall, it was kind of it's not a bad card. When this card got revealed, a lot of people were like, "This is bad. There's no reason for you to run this in a deck." Well, in this deck, every once in a while, striding this first, getting 4 cards to hand, it feels good, man. It feels really good. Again, Dumjid Valor, you go into all the time, but it's just a nice backup. 2 copies of Flare Armed Ziegenberg. He never comes up. I have SPs. I like him. He's in the deck. If you really want to try something else, you could throw in another copy of Dumjid. If you copy my list straight up, you could change this to the what's his name? The Elemental that gives your normal units +5 while it's face up in the G zone. That's an option too. That situation just never came up for me, so I didn't even bother with it. I was like, you know what? Worst comes to worst, if I have to go first and IG guard, I guess I could stride into this and start doing, Ziegenberg things for free depending on their board state. But again, it doesn't come up that often. The rest of the G zone, which you're going to be like, wow, that's a lot, is G guards. And the reason that there's, I believe, 7. There's 7 G guards. The reason I play 7 G guards is just because I don't really stride into anything but Dumjid. So I might as well just pick a bunch of like defensive cards and put them in the G zone. That way I have different options depending on the situation. So the most iconic one, everyone loves this card. It's Denial Griffin. Denial Griffin can kill an attacking unit. And yeah, there's nothing more to say about that. He's kind of been the MVP, but he's also kind of the biggest like pain in Kagero's butt, which is we don't get a lot of G guards with shield, which is a darn shame. But he's pretty good. He's really good. 1 copy of Advanced Guard Dragon. Sometimes popping a specific grade 1 really helps, especially if you can't get to defeat Flare. He's alright, He's just, hey, a 15k shield, pop 1, kind of alright. I guess I'll talk about Defeat Flare. If your Vanguard's an Overlord, you put back 2 grade 3 Flame Dragons and nuke your opponent's backboard. It's really good. It's honestly like insanely good. But it doesn't come up in every situation. I used this against the Jewel Knight player I played against, and I stopped him from restanding his Vanguard, which was super nice. But I still lost that one. But this was just hey, if I maybe heal or get a defensive, this is kind of nice. 1 of Absalam. Absalam pairs really well with Defeat Flare because you can nuke their back row. Like if your opponent's Vanguard is attacking, nuke their back row, guard with this, get 10k shield for each of their open, which will now be like 3. It's a fatty shield, but it's only when the Vanguard attacks, so it's kind of it's not as great as I'd want, but it is something. And then I was testing one of this. Sadly, this didn't come up, but it's the new G Guard. You Soul Blast 1 and then discard 4, but the discard can be changed to or reduced for every open that your opponent has. You get to pretty much perfect guard and attack, which is again super cool. I like it. It's a good thing against units with resist. It's a good thing against Vanguards that I can't Denial Griffin, but it didn't come up. This is one of those G guards that if you built like a Lawkeeper Kagero premium deck, would be like really, really good. But in here, it's just hey, if I need it, it's there, but it probably doesn't come up that often. And then, I have my my first tournament promo force marker. Not that I need to show these, and then my force 2s. You always go into force 2. You want that pressure as much as you can. When Overlord the Rebirth comes out, you can consider playing more copies of force 1 because he gets you an extra force gift, which is super cool. But he's only there for like, hey, my opponent rushed me really hard. I'm at 4 or 5 damage. It's not a great situation. That's the only time it really does come up. So overall, it's pretty. That's the deck profile pretty much. There's not a lot to say about this deck. You kind of just play a game of swing your Vanguard until your opponent is hopefully dead, and if they're not dead, well, you're dead. It's it's the sad truth, but these cards did a lot of hard work this weekend. It was really good. I guess if you were curious, the only reason I decided to play this over something maybe a lot better, because I do have a Grand Blue deck that I could have played, but I felt like, if I was going to compete in one of these, I felt like I owed it to my boys to, play this as my first deck. I mean, I normally play what I like to have, or I normally play what I like to play, I don't like to cater to the meta or anything like that. I think it's kind of boring. We have V Premium in a couple days. I'm going to be playing that, and I'll obviously put out a profile for what I play and how I did. And then in August we have Standard, and I'll have a profile for that too. I just wanted to show off something. If you guys really like the profiles, go ahead and leave it in the comments. Be like, hey, this is pretty good, man. Maybe you should do some more. Hey, can you post a Unite video where you don't suck? Something like that, give me some feedback, because I really think, I like card games a lot. I guess my one video on Master Duel didn't explain that super well, but I like card games a lot. I have a lot of cards. I'd love to show you some fun profiles that I have going on, and honestly, I don't got anything else than that. So you guys have a good night, and I'll catch you later. Bye bye.